Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Made with Love. My name is Heather and today is Sunday, December 12th, 2021, and I think today is day 6 of my 12 days of Christmas baking. And today I found my recipe book, this one here, this little magazine, had for quite a few years. This one, I was just looking, it was published in 1990, so it's been around for quite a while. So these are all Jell-O recipes, but the one I want to make today is the eggnog cheesecake. I have not made an eggnog cheesecake in probably like 3 or 4 years, so I thought that would be fun to make today. Just looking through my cookbooks, trying to decide what I wanted to make. I found my Joy of Cooking cookbook. Now this dish in here is from 1967. So it's a well-used cookbook, and there's somebody who had it before me. He's got a whole bunch of pages starred, and so it'll be fun to, read what they think recipes are good to make. I also have my slow cooker and my Instant Pot. So I've never actually cooked a dessert in that yet. So I did get myself the slow cooker dessert cookbook. So I can't wait to try out these recipes. And of course, I'm a huge fan of the TV show Friends, and so is my daughter. And we were just out getting Christmas presents a couple weeks ago, and this was there and had a 30% off the original price sticker. If you buy like in certain department stores and stuff, sometimes they just have them in just odd spots throughout the store, and they'll just give you a discount. And I said I didn't care what the cost was. I was grabbing it anyways. So the original price of this cookbook is $40 Canadian. I did not know that, but it was 30% off, and I was in the middle of buying everybody else Christmas presents, so I just threw it in the cart and said whatever it cost, and it was a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but it's a Friends cookbook. And I was looking at the back, and apparently there's another Friends cookbook that I'll have to go and find as well. So these are just some of the cookbooks that I'm going to be looking for my next Christmas recipes, inspirations out of these ones. So today I'm using the Jell-O. So I'm making the eggnog cheesecake. Just give me a moment. I just got to move my camera down and I'll be right back. Alright, so like I said, I'm making an eggnog cheesecake. Now you can make your own crust, but I like to buy these pre-made pie crusts. Walmart, Superstore, even Dollarama, where I live, sells them. So any grocery store sells these. I'm just going to also just half this recipe because in my deep freeze I already have a cheesecake and 3 other pies. So I'm like, I think I have enough pies made in my deep freeze. So I'm just gonna make half the recipe and just make a small cheesecake. Now the cheesecake that cream cheese that I'm using is it's lactose free. You can use any kind of cheese, cream cheese you want to use. I found this one, and since I've discovered it's lactose free cheesecake, I can now enjoy a little bit of cheesecake again. I was at the store the other night to get it. They didn't have the regular one, they had the reduced fat. I've never used the reduced fat before. I'm just trying to grab my spatula. I've never bought any of the reduced fat dairy products. I always think when we've got kids, the full fat's always best, but just for kids' development and stuff. But if you have to take reduced fat for any reason, it's fine. But I've never cooked with it, so my next thing I make with cheesecake is going to be with the reduced fat. Don't know if it's going to affect the taste or at all. Some people say it can, some say it doesn't. So I'm just going to cream my cream cheese here. I've got it already, it's been sitting out for a while, so it's softened. So I'm just going to get it in the mixer just to kind of cream it until it's smooth. So I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes. And then to this, I will be adding, the rest of the ingredients you'll be needing is milk, eggnog, and spices. Now for this recipe, it just says nutmeg, but I like to use, in my Christmas baking, I like cinnamon, ginger, allspice, cloves, and nutmeg. I like a variety of flavors. So I'll be adding all these spices soon. And you'll also need the instant pudding and pie filling. So it says you need because I'm halving it, so I just need a 4 serving size. All I could find was the big one, so it says 8 servings. So I'm just going to dump it out and just see how much comes in here so I can get a half. Looks like I get about 150 mils. So half of that is 75. So I'm just going to, did I pour that yet? Or no, not yet. I think I checked now. I got to do the eggnog first. So I got to add a cup of eggnog first. Now, because I'm halving it, so then I only need 1 cup of eggnog. I am not good at opening cartons sometimes. This has just got so much glue on here. I'm going to have to stop for a second and get the scissors or I'm going to have a big mess. Anybody else have that problem? Sometimes the carton just has too much glue and it's just, or something, and it just won't open. So I need to measure out 1 cup of my eggnog. And you add the eggnog in with the cream cheese. I have not made this recipe before, so it's first time making this recipe, so I'm just going to let that mix for a few minutes. Next I have to do my 1 cup of milk and my instant pudding mix, so I have to make 75 mils of this. So I'm going to pour it in here. That's about half. And then to this I have to add 1 cup of milk. So over here. Like I said, I can't drink dairy, so I'm using my coconut milk. I know it's got eggnog. I can have a little bit of dairy, but I find it just too much. It's not too much just kind of makes me sick. But in recipes like this, if you can substitute your milk for anything, it always works for me. I don't know, for some reason, I used to be able to drink, there was one brand of chocolate milk that I used to be able to drink, which was good when I was pregnant, and I could always drink some type of dairy, but they have changed that formula where it's no longer 2% milk. It's now just skim milk, which I can't drink. And then I've done the soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, rice milk, and there's 2 other ones, I don't know, something with nuts in them, and they've all started to make me sick. And then I found coconut milk and goat's milk. So goat's milk I've never had a problem with. I just can't afford the goat's milk when you're getting like 750 ml bottle for like nearly $10. I just can't really afford that. So I don't buy the goat's milk often, but then I found the coconut milk. So I've been substituting all my milk for the coconut milk, and yes, I've had a comment on my other stuff I made my soup. I'm just reading everybody's comments. I'm trying to get caught up on YouTube comment section and reading everybody's comments and answering as much as possible, but it does give it a coconut taste because it is coconut, and you will get the chunks of coconut, so you have to keep that in mind. Just gonna lift this up because I see it's all got stuck in the blade here on the whisk. Trying to get this to mix. Just gonna pour this in here because this has now got the pudding mix, so now this should really start to help thicken it up. And this recipe didn't have eggs in it, so this is an eggless cheesecake. I don't know, do you bake this one? No, this one doesn't bake either. I make a lot of cheesecakes, and some are bake and some are no bake, and I didn't even get to that far in the recipe. I just wanted to make an eggnog cheesecake because I said I haven't made an eggnog cheesecake in probably about 3 or 4 years. I'm just going to give this a quick mix. Gotta let this all mix in until it gets all nice and thick. And I'm going to add my spices. So this is an 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of all the spices because I like really spiced, flavorful desserts. So I mean, you can just, when it comes to spices, it's kind of like just put in what you like, and the amount that you like. Sorry. It's a nice day. My door's open. My puppy's outside. Sometimes I don't even measure. I'll just shake in. I kind of know what I kind of tell based on the way it smells, the amount of spice that I like to add. So you said the spices are kind of like option to what you prefer, what your tastes are. I really love very, very flavorful Christmas spices at this time of year. So I just have to keep mixing this until it's done mixing. So it's going to take a couple minutes. So I'll be back when this is all fully mixed together. All right, I'm still just trying to get this all incorporated. There was a big chunk of cream cheese that was just stuck to the bottom of the bowl here, so I'm just going to let it mix for a few more minutes longer. It should be almost ready now. I had to put the splash guard on because I had to turn it up a lot higher just to get those lumps from the bottom. Probably about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I will be back and we're ready to pour it into the shell. Oh, oops. All right, I think it's well mixed now, so I'm just going to check it. I was just doing dishes. I realized, yeah, I threw my spatula I was using in the sink, so it's sitting in the sink of hot soapy water. So just about to come to stir and realize I didn't have a spatula. Okay. All, well, look, it's pretty good mixed now. So I'm just going to unplug this because I have a tendency when I'm trying to lift this out to somehow bump the buttons, and so sometimes it's just easier if I just unplug it before I start pouring. So now I'm just going to take this mixture and I'm going to pour it into the pie shell. Okay, it's half the recipe, and I've got more in here. So, okay, well, there is, can't seem to move my camera, the stand is just not moving. But there is my cheesecake, my eggnog cheesecake. So now I am just gonna place it in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours, and then I will be back to do the garnishing. Alright, so here are the cheesecakes I made. I halved the recipe because it was to make an extra large cake and cheesecake, and you were supposed to make your crust yourself. I only had 2 pre-made or 2 store-bought pie crusts left, so I only halved the recipe. But as you can see, I got 1 and I got just about 2. If I would have done it sooner, I could have, had them both the same height. But for whipping cream, so I've got a couple different choices. So one is you can always buy the pre-made stuff. I like the coconut. The other stuff usually, makes me sick. So since I discovered coconut, that's what I've been buying. Of course, I do like to make my own. Just fix my camera here. So I get the Lactantia whipping cream at about 35%. I always find if you can find it 28% and higher gives the best whipping cream. So I'm going to show you how to make it into whipping cream two ways. I've got my KitchenAid mixer, and I will set that up in a second. The other way is I have my little whisk here that I use for my coffees, spraying whipping cream everywhere. So in here I had poured 100 mils of whipped cream, and I added about a tablespoon of icing sugar, and I just mix it around. It took me about almost 10 minutes, I think like 8-9 minutes to get it to this point. So now it's ready to use, but that's just so much work. And because this is battery operated, I think I've brand new batteries. I think it's just, you know, one time making this with brand new batteries. So this is not the best option. It isn't good. It's an okay option if you didn't want to sit there and whisk by hand these little things. I usually don't whisk to this point. I usually just want a little frothy cream on my coffees. So to make it to like actual whipped cream, I've never actually gone this far, and I've never added icing sugar to it. So I'm just going to turn this off and set this aside. And I'm just going to move my KitchenAid mixer over, so just give me a minute. Okay, so first things first is I put my metal mixing bowl and my whisk attachment in the deep freeze for almost half an hour. My fingers are so cold now. I'm just trying to get this all set up. It's a little tricky. Okay, now my camera is just falling. Okay, now to this, it says you add 1 cup. For every 1 cup, you need 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. So I'm going to mix up the whole thing. So it's a whole liter. Minus the bit that I took out already. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape this into here as well. I was just curious as to how well I could make the whipping cream using my other little attachment thing, and it seems okay, but it's going to need quite a few more minutes of whisking to get this to the consistency that I need for the topping for my cheesecake. This to go in here. So to this I'll be adding probably about, probably about 6 to 8 tablespoons of icing sugar. You always start with it on a low speed at first. I'm just going to add my icing sugar. I'm not really measuring. Kind of add, the sugar's kind of like how sweet do you want it, that kind of thing. You can also add any flavorings if you want to make your whipped cream flavored. I'm not going to, because I don't want my whipped cream to take away from the flavor of my cheesecake. Just have to scrape down the side a little. Sometimes, depending on which bowl I'm using here, I can get my whisk to fit in some between the bowl and the attachment, and sometimes I can't. Today I just was not able to, so I'm just gonna do that. Now I'm gonna turn it back on, and this should take a few minutes to blend up. So I'm just gonna give it a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm just gonna see what this is looking like. It's been about 4 minutes. It's starting to look really good. It's got solid peaks, so I think it's done. I'm just gonna scrape it down and just give it another minute to mix in the stuff on the sides. I had to add a little bit more icing sugar, I just thought it wasn't mixing fast enough, so I added another big scoops of icing sugar. I'm just gonna give that another minute. So what I'm going to say is you've got a couple options when you've got this done. I'm just going to turn that off so you can hear me. So you've got excuse me, you've got a couple different options. Like I said, you can use the ready to spray can, which I'm going to use that on this one. I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to put it on this one. Show you how to decorate. This is the one that's only like half full, and the other one is like just a little too full, but I thought if I halved the recipe I could get one pie. Well, if I would have realized I would have had to use both pie shells, I would have made them even. So I'm just going to put a little, why won't this work? I know how these work. There. Just the first one just didn't want to come out. I'm just going to decorate it like that, which just tells you everybody's piece will get one. So I'm going to keep that one like this. And then for the other one, I've got this ready now. You can pour it into a piping bag, or you can just use a regular Ziploc bag. You cut the corner off, it's the same thing. I'm not going to do that because what I've decided I'm going to do is I like to just do a nice thick coat of whipping cream. Just gonna move that aside. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to kind of like just blob it on and kind of just spread it out. So I kind of like, I don't know, it's less work this way, I guess, but it kind of gives this, you can tell the whipped cream is homemade. The pie is all homemade, the filling. Making the graham wafer crust is really easy. It's just, a couple ingredients. But for the price of the pie crust already made, or the price of the graham wafer crackers, it's actually cheaper for me to buy 2 pre-made pies than 1 box of the cookies, because again, if I buy 1 box of cookies, I only get 2 pies. So sometimes it's just what's easier and cheaper, faster. So I'm just gonna spread this on here. I don't think my pie was quite set all the way. That's okay. So now it's coming out because this one was filled. This is the one that was too high. That's okay. So I got this nice pile of whipped cream up here. I really love when I get whipped cream, just really pile it high. I love that. I'm just gonna spread it from the center downward like this. And then I'm going to just add my spices to the top of this. So I'm just going to take the spices. That's the wrong one. I grabbed garlic instead of ginger. Spices are out of order in my spice rack. I will not be adding garlic powder. I will be adding some allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, and the cloves, and ginger. So I gotta go back and grab the ginger. Just 1 second. Ginger. They do both start with G, and they do kind of look pretty close to the same color, especially when they're almost empty. So there's the garlic powder. That one's ginger. They were mixed up on my spice rack. I'm just going to give this a quick little spin with my mortar and pestle here and just shake that over top. Some nice little light coating. And same with this one. I'm just going to give this a nice little shake of this over top as well. So now I've got my 2 eggnog cheesecake's done. And I know this one is too full. The topping is spilling out. I see that it wasn't quite set. This is what happens when you try to rush things, because now I gotta make supper. So this is what happens when you try to rush baking. Trying to get your videos done. Sometimes it's just better just to wait than try to rush, but anyways, there we go. It smells good. They're gonna be delicious. All right, just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's watching my videos and subscribing to my channel, and I guess I'll see everybody in my next video. Bye.